Welcome to TSTV, a podcast where I, Sadie, guide my friend Lily through the wild world of Twin Peaks. Lily, how's it going?
It's going real good. I spent all morning playing Animal Well, which may already be dated by the time this comes out, but holy shit, it's a great game.
I have heard things about this one, but I haven't actually looked at it. Tell me about it. I'm intrigued.
Absolutely. So it is a Metroidvania like puzzle game. It's not really about combat. I would say atmosphere and themes are very much along the line of Hollow Knight, which I know you love.
Yeah, I'm a Hollow Knight freak for sure.
Yeah, but it's a little more platformy. The level designs feel not totally unlike your like Celeste's, for example. It is like pure vibes, pure atmosphere. There's no text in the game. Your character doesn't have a name. No one talks to you because it's all animals. It is just some of the best, most like exciting puzzle design I've ever played. It fucking rules.
My understanding is that this one has like the shtick of like you're just in the game, and then there are like things about it, like mechanics, or I'm not entirely sure, but like there are things about it that are technically available to you from the outset, but that are not known, and you just kind of have to learn them by going and doing. Like it has secrets.
Yes, and we're only a couple days into this, Vic and I, so I don't know that I know the secrets yet, to be honest with you. Except that, did you play Tunic?
No, but it is on my list. I think like honestly, the next time I sit down to play a game like that, it might be Tunic. 'Cause I know you loved it.
I loved the hell out of Tunic. Played it while down with COVID, and it just like gave me a place to focus my energy. Okay, so like Tunic, yeah, there are all these secrets that I think you can technically access from the start.
I'll just say the gimmick of Tunic, which is fun, which is like that you have, is it that you're the one who played it, but you have a like, as if this is like an 80s game, like kind of player's guide, but it's written in a language that doesn't exist, and you have to kind of like figure out the language as you go of like what all these different glyphs mean.
Yeah, exactly correct. But also there are a lot of like environmental, shortcuts and things like that. It is quite similar to, I think, Dark Souls actually, which is not something
Sure.
people would guess about it. But anyway, how are you, Sadie?
How am I? I'm pretty good. What have I been up to? I feel like I've had the kind of weeks of being very busy in a way where I'm like, what have I been up to? My girlfriend had her birthday, and also my friend and neighbor had their birthday. There's like a lot of the Geminis are out here.
The Geminis are out here, and honestly, the Geminis in your life are making me rethink Geminis, because real mixed bag, those ones.
So true. To almost two-faced, even two of them.
Yeah, but your girlfriend's birthday was lovely.
I was so great. The other thing is funny. Last time I was like, we went to the museum, and now I went to the museum again. I have a very museum summer, but in particular because the exhibit that they have right now at the Montreal Fine Arts Museum is like Flemish, Dutch masters, whatever. But I was very excited to go because they have a fucking Hieronymus Bosch, I think it's from his workshop, but it's like you're a Hieronymus Bosch freak, I imagine, right?
I'm an appreciator for sure. We have like puzzles of his paintings and stuff.
I mean, I think he's one of my favorite freaks. The painting that they have is like hell landscape, and I don't know. I really love how his like in Garden of Earthly Delights and in this one too. Like hell seems. It feels weird that it's from like 1540 because it looks so industrial. Like
wow.
Like there are bits in hell in like Garden of Earthly Delights that like feel like they're oil rigs or like factories like spewing smoke.
I'm having a look. I totally agree.
And you can't go wrong with the butt trumpets and stuff.
Oh, we all love the butt trumpets in and off the canvas.
So true.
Yeah, this is not a Bosch pod by any means, but I'm having a look at his hell paintings, and the lighting feels really artificial. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, it's so cool, right? Doesn't it? So much of it feels like it's out of a like 1960s like retro futurist like sci-fi book cover.
Sure. Oh, cool as hell.
Anyway,
Anyway,
let's talk about
let's
Twin
get
Peaks.
peeking.
Yeah,
Waha!
let's peek. So this is episode 1, and a note on that. This show has the like naming convention where the pilot is just the pilot, and this is the second episode of the show, but they call it episode 1. And also all of the episodes have like semi-official titles. So this one is Traces to Nowhere.
What does semi-official mean? So, like, I thought you mentioned that the fans named these episodes.
I'm actually let me check, because I'm not entirely sure. Twin Peaks. I'm pulling up the good old Wikipedia here, because like I know they just aired as episode 1. Although the series originally did not have episode titles, oh, this is very funny. When it was broadcast in Germany, the episodes were given titles that are now used by some fans and critics.
They did not want to call it episode 1.
That was a crazy German accent. Yeah, we have the Germans to thank, I guess, for this. So, yeah, Traces to Neinwehr.
Nailed it.
And continuing with our tradition, I would love to check out the Log Lady intro that aired before this episode.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. I love, once again, she just starts off with, I carry a log.
I carry a log. Yes. Is it funny to you? It is not to me. Behind all things are reasons. Reasons can even explain the absurd. Do we have the time to learn the reasons behind the human being's varied behavior? I think not. Some take the time. Are they called detectives? Watch and see what life teaches.
Wow, that was completely vague. I thought the point of these was to like prime the audience or something, but instead that felt like book club questions. That was like going into it, think about these things, which honestly I wasn't thinking about how people's behavior has reasons behind them and all that. So that's like a really interesting reframing of it.
I mean, this is very David Lynch again, to be like, yeah, of course, we'll record some things to help people understand. Some take the time. Are they called detectives? Watch and see what life teaches.
Are they called detectives?
Are they called detectives? I mean, you know what this reminds me of is, have we talked about the, like, questions in the, like, DVD booklet for Mulholland Drive?
Oh, yes, ages ago.
Yeah, so Mulholland Drive, in that film, like David Lynch in the DVD thing had a booklet, which I'm just going to pull them up here. A bunch of questions for things for the viewer to think about. It was David Lynch's 10 clues to unlocking this thriller. And the clues are just things like, notice appearances of the red lampshade. Who gives a key and why? Or an accident is a terrible event. Notice the location of the event. So this feels like a similar type of thing of just like, I don't know, think this about.
I actually I want to take note of this because you and I have both had real beef with the concept of like solving art like this, of like trying to find some like game theory style correct interpretation, you know? I complain about this all the time with like Charlie Kaufman movies and with like Kentucky Route Zero, which is a game I really like. Yeah, so that is an example of something that like really picking apart all the mysteries with like A equals B, therefore C logic doesn't really work. I think of David Lynch as someone who is easy to analyze in the wrong way. You know, think like, oh, here's what's actually going on. I did it. I understood this, and like I succeeded at Mulholland Drive. So it's interesting for him to make a detective show, you know?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like I'm kind of both minds, where I think when David Lynch throws a weird image at you, like, I don't know, even like in this episode, we'll get there when we get there, but like Sarah Palmer's vision of the guy who we talked about last week, the guy who was working on the set, who was like crouched behind Laura's bed. Like that's something that is just a like potent image that David Lynch just like wanted to put in because he saw that and thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But it is also like, I think that there is a surprising amount in Twin Peaks of like, you can take these images and like construct a kind of like A equals B and then C like meaning out of. I think that like they're, it feels very both ways, because then sometimes there are images that do just feel there for effect or for like affect. Haha.
Sure. Usually in stories like this where like the viewer or reader is meant to be doing some sleuthing, everything that is called attention to is done so because it assists in solving the mystery in some way. Like I don't know, I think of Knives Out.
Oh, sure.
Like the things it calls attention to are because you want to remember that stuff later. Probably Sherlock Holmes is a better example. But it's kind of funny and disorienting to have a bunch of stuff that is useful for solving like little mysteries, and then also, whoa, what if we did like just showed that random thing, you know?
I can't remember too many of the specifics, and I wouldn't even tell you if I could, but I think there are a lot of images like that that then later on end up getting given context in a way that in a way that it's funny, because I think this is like what a lot of people complain about in a lot of shows of like, I don't know, like Lost infamously, you know, of like they were just throwing shit out there and then after the fact being like yeah, that's because he was Jesus or whatever, you know.
Sure.
And I think David Lynch does something not dissimilar of just like, here's this, check this out, and then some of those will just be there for the kind of like instinctive, intuitive, like affective meaning of it. And then sometimes he will pick one and then go back and be like, actually, that was referring to this specific thing in a way that could be planned from the get-go. But I think a lot of the times isn't, you know, again, just thinking about how much that shot of this mysterious man crouched behind Laura's bed was just because he was down there footsing with the set and David Lynch said, oh, let's get a shot of him like that, you know?
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, I don't know. This is interesting in terms of like this episode. I think a lot of Twin Peaks episodes are just kind of like, here's a little smidgen from each of our characters. And this one is definitely like, we are starting to see humans' varied behaviors, and we don't have the time to learn the reasons behind them in this episode.
Yes.
But some take it. Are they called detectives? Which, speaking of, here is my quick recap of this episode. So, in our first non-pilot episode, Dale and the viewer find a smattering of potential breadcrumb clues to Laura's death, which raise more questions than answers, seemingly implicating Bobby, Leo, a mysterious one-armed man, Ben Horne, Dr. Jacoby, and or a guy Sarah Palmer sees in a vision? ? In the meantime, we learn more about how Leo is an even worse guy than we first thought, Donna's blossoming romance with James, Audrey's shenanigans, and that the log lady will have something to tell us. Eventually.
Or rather, the log will.
Yeah.
Right at the gate, I want to say, loved this episode, at least as much as the pilot, probably more because it was shorter, so I feel like it was a little easier for me to digest. Because as in the pilot, there's truly a lot being thrown at you, a lot being like set up.
And it is very busy, but it also feels slow. I forget if we've talked about this, but our friend Rex has been trying to watch Twin Peaks with his sister for years, and his sister has just fallen asleep halfway through the pilot every time because it is hefty. It has a lot going on.
It is movie length and like at least movie density. Yeah.
And also doesn't even try to give any resolution on anything that it picks up, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So right off the bat, we see the insane interior design, the like room decor of the Great Northern Hotel where Dale is sleeping. I was laughed that like the first shot is Dale's pistol, and then like pan up to the rifle on the wall of just small gun to big gun. There are all these duck carvings and like this painting that has like carved like wooden ducks like affixed to it, like a 3D. The ducks are coming right at you.
Sadie, I didn't catch any of this. This is crazy.
Oh yeah, it's like I was finding myself just being like, oh yeah, it's Dale's room. And then I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like above the bed, there are like fake like deer hooves holding up a rifle. And the pan goes to show the feet of our boy, Dale Cooper, who has woken up at 6 a.m. and instantly gone Dracula mode.
He's schlanging.
He's fucking schlanging. And he is dictating another tape to Diane, saying he's very happy with the hotel room. And he closes that there are two things that trouble him: the nature of Marilyn Monroe's relationship to the Kennedys, and who really pulled the trigger on JFK. Just very silly.
I can't decide if he sees himself as goofily as we see him, because he has a real like Rod Serling thing to him also. Like he seems actually sincerely really wanting to figure out who killed the Kennedys.
Who's Rod Serling again?
The Twilight Zone guy.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I've actually like never really seen any Twilight Zone.
It's a great show, and their way of speaking is quite similar. It's very distinctive.
Yeah.
That and the black and white suit and stuff. In this episode, I start to feel like he kind of thinks he has entered an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yes. I mean, I think this is a very good comparison. I mean, even just like, I think a lot of Dale Cooper has to do with like David Lynch's, I think, interest with these kind of like 50s Hollywood leading men, you know, and this like 50s Hollywood like TV and film. But yeah, so Dale heads down to coffee and breakfast. He gets his coffee and then is like, wait, stops the waitress from leaving until he's appraised it. Says it's one of the best coffees he's ever had. Which I was like, is it like
really?
It's funny because I feel like this is I think this is a combination of like the magic of Twin Peaks, this beautiful town where the coffee is so good. And also that I think Dale Cooper is the kind of guy who every cup of coffee that he has, he's like, this is one of the best cups of coffee I've ever had, you know?
Every time. And the pie as well. He's just nuts for the entire like sensory world of taste.
Yeah. I mean, this is like this is like definitely one of the like memes of the show, but I think especially what I love about, I'll just like get into it now. Like what I love about all the coffee throughout the show is like nearly every scene with Dale in it, the first like 30 seconds to a minute of it are just devoted to like, and this happens so much of just like people sit down and they don't start talking about the plot or like the important things. They're first like, would you like some coffee? Hell yes, I would like some coffee. And then they come and pour them coffee, and then they sip the coffee, and then they go, damn, that's some fine coffee. And then they start talking about... I when I was watching this with our mutual friend Benji, like we kept remarking on just like how expensive it is to produce a minute of television, and also like how tight like screen time is on TV episodes, you know, like True. They always have to really cut down. And like, I think it is so funny with that being the case that in this episode and like many others, David Lynch is like, no, we're taking like a combined like 3-4 minutes of screen time to just people asking about, receiving, and appraising coffee at the beginning of every scene.
And then after this, what is it? Dale is being offered like a juice. Is that it? When Audrey appears in the room?
Yeah, he wants grapefruit juice, which it was funny. He said he wants grapefruit juice. And I was like, oh, this man is not on antidepressants.
Who needs them? Well, many of us.
So true.
But then he catches Audrey and he says, as long as the grapefruits are freshly squeezed
It's so bad.
as a woman with breasts is acknowledged.
I just like, I really have in like all caps, just like, I don't know about that one, Dale.
But then Audrey comes over and starts like flirting with him. And from my point of view, she fails the vibe check. Like Dale's like, you're a bit much for me, and just like totally recedes and loses interest.
Yeah, it's, I, I did write down like just her lines because it just like the way that this is like I started writing her line and it just like kept going. She says, I think they talk about how she's, the daughter of the Horne family and that Laura was helping her brother. She says, Johnny's got emotional problems. It runs in the family. Do you like my ring? Sometimes I get so flushed. It's interesting. Do your palms ever itch? And then she bites her lip and just kind of gyrates.
That's the funniest word you could use. Yeah, exactly. She's a little all over the place. She's kind of throwing everything at the wall. The emotional problems thing, she's real for that.
So true. But it's just like, yeah, I don't know. This is, I think, I have a couple thoughts about this. One, I think that like, again, for how much, Dale reputationally is like our sprightly, nice little guy, he's kind of being a fucking creep here. I don't love it. And like, we know that Audrey's in high school. Obviously, this is like in the TV show way where she's the high school 18-year-old, but it's still
good. Like Americans are so relieved about that you can technically be 18 in high school.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that there is, something here about like, for however much like Dale is the nice boy who's coming to help solve the murder, I think like him participating in this like leering at this 18-year-old is like contributing, like that kind of behavior is, I think, part of the like system of what killed Laura Palmer.
Sure.
Whoever did it, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just like keeping track of our like, how does Twin Peaks feel about Dale Cooper and the police and like all this,
Yes. Although I don't think it really takes issue with his being into an 18-year-old. Like I at least right here, I felt like it was just like, classic TV, man sees sexy woman.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is really the core of like how the show handles Audrey. I mean, we'll see a lot of Audrey. And I do stan her, but like even in this scene, I like can never decide if I think that the show is doing interesting things with her character or if she's kind of just done dirty.
Sure.
And like, I think this is one of those, like she just kind of shows up to throw herself at Dale. And I think that there is a lot of ambiguity here where like, I also think that there's something of like Twin Peaks is often like wearing a mask of itself in the sense of like it is presenting its happy-go-lucky or like soap opera, like detective kind of like stock TV face.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the Twin Peaks behind that mask that we have started to see like little peaks of, as it were.
Boo.
I don't know if that is judging. Like, I think the TV show, like Twin Peaks, the like stock TV show is like, oh yeah, sexy lady. And like, I think that like Dale participating that is like a sign of culpability in some ways. I don't know if like the Twin Peaks behind the mask thinks that because it's so in this masquerade of this type of show,
Yes.
But
interesting.
Yeah, so the scene just ends with Audrey's gyration.
Okay, so we have our boy Dale going to the sheriff's station where he greets Deputy Andy Brennan, Lucy Moran, and Sheriff Harry S. Truman. Still getting used to that.
Is insane that that's just his name.
Yeah. They're eating donuts because they're cops. Sleazebag Dr. Will Hayward presents the results of Laura's autopsy. Wait, no, this is a good
No.
doctor.
Yeah. This is Donna's dad.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Jacoby is the sleazebag psychiatrist. This is the guy who was like he was so sad that he had to call in a guy to do the autopsy, and he just assisted.
Oh, my apologies to Dr. Hayward. I do quite like him,
I was
actually.
unfamiliar with your game.
So the autopsy's results show that Laura died from a loss of blood and that she had various bite marks and lesions. They say that she had sexual relations with 3 men within a day of her death. Unclear who or what that means. Does not look good.
Yeah.
Kind of harrowing. Dr. Hayward has no doubt that Ronette, who survived all this, witnessed the crime, but she's still not speaking. We don't know when we're going to hear from her.
Yeah, and I made a note of like I think there's the way he like trails off at the end of that when he's saying, you know, like I'm not sure when she'll be back. She would have been seeing, and he kind of like trails off, and he says, you know, looking at the picture of Laura Palmer, her corpse, just like so beautiful. Who would do a thing like that? Which is, but I also, again, I think there's something there about, yeah, just because she's so beautiful as the thing of, like, it is a tragedy because of her beauty feels, you know, just something, something to keep track of, you know?
Something to keep track of. And I'm tending to cut these people a lot of slack because they are so like gutted and heartbroken right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I empathize with that. So beautiful because you're just trying to rationalize it. Like this makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it paints a picture of how the town maybe relates to her. I also want to call it the music in the scene because, well, it's very typical Twin Peaks music, but the transition from the previous scene, light and goofy, a little flirty, into this one where it is like some of the heaviest, just like bleakest music we've heard so far, you know, with the kind of low whooshy synths. It's very jarring. I'm still trying to understand what the show is doing with tone.
Yeah. And I mean, again, even just the fact that like, you know, he shows up, it's fucking donut time, and we get another Lucy moment of like they're in the conference room and starts giving him like a detailed explanation of what a conference room is and where it is, and then just like straight into the autopsy. Yeah, it is still truly just all over the place.
Oh, Lucy, my beloved.
I think she might be the character that I stand the most. She's so good.
Yeah.
So from there we get Leo and Shelley. The first shot we get is Leo's truck called the Big Pussycat.
Yes.
And then we see, and I made a note of this, Leo is flagging right pocket red. This is there are quite a couple characters flagging in this episode, but
holy shit.
This is, I think, you know, a clue David Lynch left for us to decipher. I think this is one that does create meaning, which is that this man is getting anally fisted. But yeah, so
God. Did you have to look that up, or do you just have the anal fisting hanky code memorized?
I did look it up, but just to be sure, you know. But I was like, right pocket, this man's bottoming something, and yeah, listen, he's a fist fucky. Fucky. Yeah, so Shelley is trying to go out to work, and Leo is like, did you do all the laundry? She says yes, and he's like, well, no, you didn't. And he tosses her more, which, you know, certainly seems like a bit of a just like, I'm just going to do this to stop you from getting to work on time, just to fuck with you.
Yes.
I also, like, it's kind of funny how much his laundry is just in a, like, burlap sack. Like, it looks like a fucking, like, bank robber's sack, you know?
You know, when I was working in a kitchen, we also put our, like, dirty work clothes into there. So I wonder if that is a work issued
it's
thing.
the sack is real.
Sack is real. Sack confirmed.
Hashtag Sack is real.
One of Twin Peaks' greatest fan theories confirmed after 29 years. There is Sack.
Jesus. So it turns out though that she is doing the laundry not only as emotional abuse, but because he had a bloody shirt. I made a note of how much she sees it and just goes, blood.
Yeah.
She quickly hides it because Norma shows up to give her a lift to work, and Leo like grabs her cheek and is like, "I'll be by the diner later. Save some pie for me," which I hate the way he grabs her cheek. And also, I really made a note of the music in this one of like, there's this like crazy, like, it was just this like, of just like, it keeps going down one half tone at a time. Like throughout this bit when he's grabbing her cheek, it's just like, like it's just this synth that's just like half tone descending.
Wow.
And it's so weird.
I don't like.
Yeah. So from there we have James Hurley being interviewed by the cops. Want to tell us about this one?
Yes, I do. This next scene, we have James being questioned, I think for the second time. Is that right?
I think this is the first. No, because they just caught him at the end of last episode, right? And they just like brought him straight to the cell.
Oh, yeah. So they play again the video of Laura and Donna at the picnic with like the enhance, and the motorcycle in Laura's eye. He says, yes, it was him who shot it, and that they had been dating in secret. James tells them that Laura was using drugs, was using coke, and that he was trying to get her to stop, and that she was in some sort of strange place. The night she died, they had been together. Agent Our Boy Dale pulls out the half the heart necklace that James buried in the woods. He says he recognizes it, but claims not to know who has the other half.
Yeah.
Do we know for sure that James buried it? I feel like it's just hands burying it.
Well, no, remember he buried it with Donna, and then we saw a gloved hand finding it.
Oh,
so
yes.
we don't know who has uncovered it.
Understood.
Yet. The other note I had on this scene is that I think we mentioned this last episode probably, but that, yeah, Laura jumped off of his bike at the light. He says at Sparkwood in 21, which is just like perhaps another, like the last episode, we kept getting all those shots of the traffic light.
Yeah.
This may be why. Then we get this crazy flashback of him and Laura with like a fucking like iMovie scene transition swirl.
Yeah, what the hell, dude?
It's crazy. And like even throughout this whole flashback, like all the voice, it sounds like there's some kind of like effects on their voices, like they sound like oddly pitched. This flashback is kind of crazy.
I agree. The whole thing feels off. So this is, I should mention, I think the first we are seeing Laura like living and breathing except in that videotape.
Yes, that is
right?
true. Yeah.
And honest to God, I wasn't sure we were going to get this. Like I wasn't sure what kind of like arm's length we were going to be kept from Laura. But whether this is something that actually happened or a memory, I don't know, but it's like very foreboding and off-putting.
It's so weird. And she's just like, it's so bucolic in a way that feels so at odds with everything else. She's saying, guess why I'm happy today? And his reply, because your skin is so soft and you smell so good, which, what are you saying, dog? Like, and she
always
says,
puts me in a good mood.
Yeah. And she says, no, it's because I believe you really love me. Now my heart belongs to you. And we see her breaking the locket in half to give to him. Such a weird little flashback.
So weird. And there's this really shallow depth of focus that is not used that often in the show. It's usually a little more naturalistic. And there appears to be like some it could just be that they used a very specific lens, but like there's like some lens distortion at the corner of the frames.
Yeah, they've got some fucking Vaseline on there.
Yeah, something like that. Which, so I'm wondering if this is because we know that Laura was not like entirely lucid. So is this presenting us the scene as it happened, or is this James's like weird distorted memory? Do you have a take?
I really don't know. Like obviously, like the way it does seem to be James's memory in the way that it like comes up in this interrogation, and there is later on like another crazy interlude of Laura that does feel like it's kind of filtered through Donna's like subjectivity. So
Oh, yeah.
there's definitely some of that. Like, and I think there is something there in terms of like access to Laura before her death, that even in this way, it is still being filtered. And like filtered both also literally like visually, like you're saying, and like audibly with the audio filters, like through James's recollection of her. And also that his recollection of her is one in which she's like, yes, my skin is so soft and I'm so in love with you and my heart belongs to you and you really love me. Like, I think that there's...
Oh, God.
I mean, this could be real. I think, like, like we're certainly led to believe that James and Laura did have although this is kind of brought into question way later at the end of the episode with the recording of her, where she's like, James can be so stupid. But like, it seems like they did have something real, and maybe this was that. But it is also, I guess, regardless of, the kind of like puzzle box truth, I think this is definitely like we are being shown Laura as seen through James, I think,
Yeah, and that makes me sad. I mean, the fact that I don't know if we will ever understand Laura on Laura's terms. I hope we do, but so far it just feels like a lot of people felt a sense of ownership over her.
Yeah.
Even if in a benevolent way.
Well,
that
and
makes me sad.
I don't know, even thinking about the log lady from the last episode, from the pilot, when she was like, from the one comes the many, Laura is the one, like as if like, I mean, this is kind of literally true for the, like in a like metafictional way, that like all of the people in Twin Peaks, we meet them because of Laura's death, like that's why the show is looking here, and but there is something that like the relationship of Laura to the town is like, there is something both that they exist because of her, but also that she is kind of like in service to the town's existence or its self-perception, or like, I don't know. There's
self-perception for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So leaving that big question mark, we have a very short scene of just Leo, who's so mad because he can't find his bloody shirt. And then we see the Rowdy Boys in jail. Bobby and Mike, or of course, as he is referred to, Snake. So they say that they owe money to Leo, and Mike, or Snake, thought that, you know what, I think I will call him Snake, partially because it's funny, but because there will be, as we've discussed, spoiler, there's another character called Mike eventually, which is kind of funny.
Oh, this will help. I call him Snake in all my notes, not out of like respect, out of his name is not very memorable.
Actually, no, sorry, I'm just thinking about this because, okay, there's another character called Mike that we will learn about, and there's another character called Bob that we will learn about, which the fact that these two are called Bobby and Mike, I think I've had the thought like isolatedly that like, oh yeah, those characters have the same names, but this sure is. Anyway, well, let's keep that
Put
for
a
later.
pin in that.
Yeah. So they owe money to Leo. Snake thought that they hadn't paid it back, but it turns out that Bobby did pay part of it back, but only half, because the other half was in Laura's safe deposit box, which is what the cops found last episode.
Oh, yes.
So now they are stressed out because they need to somehow get the other half of that money to pay to Leo, presumably for like some, if Laura was doing cocaine with Bobby, I'm assuming that this is some kind of drug dealing money situation. I don't know what your read was.
I didn't feel like I had enough information to even make a guess. That makes sense.
There's some tomfoolery is afoot.
Or Bob foolery.
Whoa, makes you
There's an idea.
There's an idea. So my other notes, I just like, again, Bobby just like sitting on the sink to assume the maximum rude boy posture. His line when he's like, maybe we could sell light bulbs door to door. And right at the end, James is brought back into his cell, and like the way Bobby immediately gets in barking position really made me laugh.
Also, so when they talk about the money in Laura's safety deposit box, they are like pissed off at Laura for dying. They say that Laura checked out on them by being murdered. These guys are fucking sociopaths.
Yeah, it's not good. And like, again, if we're just talking about like the town kind of like having a exploitative relationship with Laura, I think like, oh, I needed to get money from her is certainly a literalization of that.
Yes, indeed. Oh, that's very true. Anything else on this scene?
Yeah, no, let's move on.
Cool.
We then have another, so this is like the other like crazy interlude that I mentioned earlier. It's like we see Laura's face and it's kind of like in slow motion, and we hear the like haunting Laura's theme that we've talked about earlier, but like only the higher register of it. And over this, we just hear Laura's voice, which is kind of like down pitched, saying, "Help me."
God.
Yeah, it's really just in there. I forgot how much, like, it's just fucking in there. It's so strange, and it's unclear. Like, I think the fact that we see this and then we now then have Donna waking up right after. I think there's
true.
I think there's an implication that this is like Donna's dream.
Sure.
But it's also like kind of speaking to the viewer, and it's also like,
yeah,
she's saying to help me. She's already dead.
It's weird.
Yeah, right.
I almost like, okay, everyone seems really fixated on this videotape, and for me, like as of now, it feels like there's just nothing left there to discover, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like that is her presence in the show. It almost felt like that was like her soul is trapped in the videotape, you know? I'm just saying shit.
No,
but
it's kind of true though.
I'll take it. Because yeah, we know who filmed it. We know who was there. We know what they were doing. I'm sure there's a reason it's still around, but like it is starting to feel slightly weird how fixated on the tape the show seems to be. So I'm gonna keep thinking about that.
I mean, yeah, no, I think like, is Laura's soul trapped in videotape is like, you know, I think this is not far from not like from a truth, but I think this is like a kind of, even just thinking about like videotapes as like, you know, camera, right? Like in a way, Laura's soul is trapped in the TV show that we are watching. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And like we've seen Inland Empire, a movie rather, that I love to death, and which I think has a lot to say about like the act of filming someone as being kind of violent, you know, and like doing something fucked up to their soul, and that like the nature of like Hollywood like movie and TV production does do fucked up. It does kind of like make you a horrible like fucking like doppelganger and trap you in there. So I think these are themes to think to rotate for sure. I think you're not onto something.
Okay, sick. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us about the scene here as Donna speaks with her mother?
I do. So Donna wakes up perhaps out of this dream. She is confused because she thought she had to go to the sheriff's station for, I guess, like questioning this morning. Her mom says they decided to let her rest, and I think like go in the next day. And at this point, they get into a conversation, Donna and her mom, about the previous day and about whatever connection this is to James. Donna and James, I just feel sad. I don't know. It feels like they're just going through this unimaginable trauma, and they're just like looking for any sort of clarity or stability or like any sort of positive emotion. You know, I don't understand how you would realize you're in love with your partner's friend or your friend's partner immediately after they die.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Well, and like, especially that, I think, you know, she says like, it's as if they were the ones, we realized all this time that we were the ones falling in love, that this was like,
retroactive.
Yeah, is pointed.
Oh, I don't like that at all. These poor people.
Yeah, I don't think we met Donna's mother last episode, because we see her now, she's in a wheelchair, which is like... That's just there. It is like, but the show does like highlight that. My other notes on this are just, I love Donna's jersey dress that she's wearing. Just again, another like, Sadie watched this as a teenager and was like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yes.
And okay, this line that she says, I bolded this in my notes. She says, it's like I'm having the most beautiful dream and the most terrible nightmare all at once. Kind of about her like processing Laura's death, but then also finding this love with James. But I think this feels also related to the like weird interlude that we just saw, where it is like, you know, kind of a beautiful dream of Laura, but also a horrible nightmare of her like pleading to be helped.
Yeah.
And this feels like a even just like I'm like thinking about other David Lynch that we've seen, like Mulholland Drive, very concerned with dreams and nightmares, you know, the City of Dreams. I think like David Lynch has spoken a lot about that movies are like dreams, and that making a movie or a TV show is like capturing a dream. And, you know, Mulholland Drive, kind of like the dream becomes a nightmare. This is without getting too much into that, like I think the interrelationship between a beautiful dream and terrible nightmare as being something that is like fundamental to making like TV shows and movies feels very pointed. This feels kind of like a thesis statement almost for Twin Peaks as a show.
Oh, this makes sense.
And otherwise, yeah, I mean, I think we certainly saw last episode Donna having like wanting to be closer to Laura, and also I think it was like Mike who yells at her, or Snake, you know, who yells at her, you know, you're just like Laura. And I think that her, like Donna, almost like trying to like transubstantiate herself into Laura, or who Laura was, feels pointed in how much she is now like moving into this romance with James, you know?
Oh, that's very true. This is interesting to consider, especially with the final scene with her and Laura's mom.
Yeah. Well, oh, yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that is definitely like a big arc that we are starting to see with Donna's character. That's all I have there. Do you have any more, or shall we move on?
I don't think I do.
Okay, so next up. Oh yeah, well, Ed Hurley is at the police station where he is introduced to Coop. I do have another note. Ed is flagging back left hanky. This man is an S&M top, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
So yeah, I forget last time if we were speculating because he seemed to have like a father figure for James. It turns out he is James's uncle.
Yes.
And he says that James's mother is out of town a lot. And, Coop gives him a like, watch out. We're going to have to release Bobby and Mike soon. So, watch out. He then Lucy tells him that he has a long distance call from a Albert Rosenfield. And this is like a Lucy moment of just like describing what a long distance call sounds like. But another one that I made a note of with many exclamation marks in my notes, it has that open air sound, like wind blowing, like wind blowing through trees.
I love this.
Yeah, because one, that's obviously just, again, Lucy being like over explaining everything. But was I not saying this last episode?
Were you not saying what last episode?
That the intercutting of the like sound of electricity with the sound of wind in the trees. And
oh my god.
Yeah, and specifically,
Yeah.
I think that it happened after the shot of the phone cord with Laura's mother like sobbing through the phone cord, and then it cut to, I think it happened then, and I remember it definitely happened with the like stoplight and like the electric whine, I think also from the hospital. So I don't know. I think we are being told that there is a connection here, that there's something about
yes,
like electric sounds, electricity, which is another kind of just like theme and image that David Lynch is very interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's like extra textually, I just know that like he's a bit of a freak for like just the idea of electricity and like light bulbs and stuff. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, there was a light bulb mentioned earlier too when Bobby was like, we could sell light bulbs
door to door. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that generally like this is one of those images that David Lynch is very interested in the way that he is in dreams. I know that he's like extra textually just like he's a bit of an electricity freak. Yeah, this is like something that has come up in some of his other work. I mean, Eraserhead, definitely. I think there was like anyway, yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's no like concrete takeaways, but I think we are being given a like image connection flag of like, there are spirits in the trees and the wind blowing through them is kind of like the phone, and it's kind of like electricity. Are there going to be spirits in the phone or passing anyway, we're getting things, but I definitely like made a big note of that because I was all like last episode, I was like, oh, they're making this connection of the phone to the wind in the trees. And then Lucy said it and I was like, oh my God, she just tweeted it out.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you're totally right. And I hadn't caught that somehow. That line also stood out to me just because it is both so in line with Lucy's like wasting
It's
time
so
overly
funny.
verbose thing.
Yeah.
But also it's beautiful description. And like, you don't pick up a phone and describe the acoustics, you don't talk about the sound design. Her mind.
Yeah, exactly. Lucy Moran does. Other things here, I think, while Dale is on the phone, I actually didn't write this down, but I like him talking with this Albert character. I think he's saying someone from the agency, presumably. He's like, yeah, you can come on down and you can have the body, you can do whatever you want all weekend. But it's like, I can't do anything about it. They're putting her in the ground on Monday. Again, Dale being honestly, kind of insensitive in a way that feels very FBI, stock character coded of just
yeah.
The forensics boys can have the body all weekend. It's very off-putting, honestly.
I want to like him so badly. He's so likable.
And it's the thing, it's even earlier when we were talking about how he was being skeevy with fucking Audrey in the very next scene, I was like, it's our boy, Dale. He does have this, there's truly this tension with him. And also even just, I think actually on that same phone call, he's like, yeah, they're putting her in the ground on Monday. By the way, boy, do I have a place to recommend to you, the Lamplighter Inn. His cheeriness and his charm feels very connected to the insensitivity in this way,
That's true. None of this stuff shakes him enough that he gets solemn at any point, really, so far.
And he is like so still, despite like he's the only one, like, you know, the local cop Truman was like not able to believe or not willing to believe that like Laura would be doing cocaine. And Dale is the one who's like, yeah, she was doing cocaine. Like he doesn't have that kind of naivete, but he's still so overwhelmingly charmed by the like small town folksiness of Twin Peaks, you know?
Yeah, and the way that city people often are.
Well, and like for however much what he's doing here is investigating this sordid murder, he doesn't. It's not like he's not like going true detective guy. He's not like Rust Cole being like, I see the true darkness of this place. I don't have a good fucking Rust Cole impression. It's been a long time since I've seen season 1 of True Detective. But you know what I mean? He's not out here being like, these people are all full of shit.
Yes.
He's like, oh yeah, this young woman was horribly murdered. And this place is great, you know? Other notes, let's see, Truman and Ed are talking about the brawl at the bar. I made a note of his line of, if Nadine caught wind of me and Norma, I'd be playing harp for the Heavenly All-Stars, which is just, sure, whatever you say, boss.
Really quick, what exactly is the Heavenly All-Stars? Because that sounds like a basketball team to me.
Okay, this is what I thought too, right? I guess that it's like the all-star choir. This is I think why I made a note of it. It's just just such a like
like, is that real?
Yeah, it's very, again, just kind of like snappy TV dialogue in a way that's just like, what are you saying, bro?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, so they have Ed talking about how like his affair up at the lodge. He mentions feeling unwell, but not remembering getting like punched in the head or anything. So he's trying to make sense of it. And he said that he suspected that his beer was drugged by, you mentioned in our notes, Jacques Renault, but I don't know if I know who that is. Is he the owner?
I think Ed just says briefly like Jacques Renault was tending bar.
Oh, yes.
So whoever this is, presumably he thinks he might have drugged his beer for some reason.
Yeah, and like so far, I know he's not squeaky clean or anything. He is having an affair, but he seems like a good dude. I mean, who would have it out for him, you know?
Yeah, so many mysteries abound in the town of Twin Peaks. And final note, James is talking with Ed, and he's like, oh, I guess he's worried that Bobby and Snake are going to get him. He says that he's going to need some help from the Bookhouse Boys, which we do not get any more context on, but is a crazy thing to say.
Okay, because I was thinking the Bookhouse Boys as in like book him boys, like the cops.
No, he just says, I'm going to need some help from the Bookhouse Boys. And Ed is like, yeah, you know it or something. But
could the Bookhouse be the jailhouse?
I don't know. What do you think the Bookhouse Boys is or are, Lily?
Well, I was thinking they're going to need some help from the cops to keep James safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we do immediately or shortly after see them trying to keep James safe.
This is true.
I would be thrilled if there are like a ragtag team of like little rascal, 14-year-olds who are really literate, who are just like off screen, don't really come up.
Some fucking Oliver Twist guys. I mean, even like, I guess, yeah, it does make sense as in book him, but it is a crazy thing to call cops the Bookhouse Boys.
The Bookhouse Boys. Next up, may I?
Yeah.
So next up, we have a quick encounter between Norma and Nadine, who I believe are vying for the same man. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or one of them is married to him.
Yeah.
Nadine is Ed's wife, and Norma is his girlfriend. They're at the department store, general store, whatever. They have this awkward little encounter where Nadine says, "What are you doing here, Norma?" "I might ask you the same question," Norma replies, as if it's weird to be at the store.
Yeah, I'm at the store. I'm buying item. Like,
yeah, is this suspicious? And Nadine is just carrying the most enormous amount of cotton balls you've ever seen in your life to resolve her loud drape runners issue, because as we know, she's really preoccupied with her new drapes.
Yeah, let me tell you, Lily, I think you predicted last episode where like we're gonna get some more drapes content, and you were right on the money.
Fuck yeah, did I say that for real?
I think so. I mean, it was all that we had seen of Nadine thus far.
That's true.
She is batting 100 on drapes.
She is just totally in her own little world. We, like, at the start of the scene, we think that she's gonna be, like, weird and hostile, but partially also established by the fact that
Yeah, she would have sent Ed to the Heavenly All-Stars, of course.
yeah. But no, she, as soon as she gets a chance to talk about her drapes, she just becomes like perfectly jovial, you know?
Well, but it's funny because there is like, I think when she's like despairing about how, you know, how loud the drapes are now, she's like, oh, I'm gonna get them. Like there is this mania, and it does seem to be like tinged with grief or like, yeah, there's a lot going on. I actually really like the performance of the actress who plays Nadine here.
Oh, she's excellent.
But I do kind of stan her.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I also just made a note of, she said she got the drapes from Gentleman Jim's Drapes, which is such a funny fucking fake drape store name.
This is exactly the kind of place in the world that would have a store for just drapes, you know?
Yeah, run by Gentleman Jim. Wait a second, Jim with a J. Do you think
my God.
Do you think Laura might have been ensconced in the drape, the underground drape market?
Oh my God. Oh, that's so funny.
So next up, it's funny, it was played off as if it was going to be the police interviewing the Bonzo boys, but they actually just let him go. Dale is being kind of menacing to them, and Harry says his line of, I should start studying medicine because I'm beginning to feel a bit like Dr. Watson. Because they just let the Bonzo boys go, and they tell him, you know, you better pray for the good health of James Hurley, because if anything happens to him, we're coming looking for you.
Indeed. And so I was pretty confused at first. Like, why would they hold these two guys in custody overnight and then just like bring them into a questioning room and then let them go?
Yeah, it's very strange. Like, it seems like he was just letting them sweat in there. Also, I mean, again, this is just TV shows, but there are no lawyers in Twin Peaks. Like, there's nobody. Everyone is just sitting in there just saying shit.
Raw dogging it.
Yeah, exactly.
My theory for why they let the two guys go is that Ed made a deal with Dale and the sheriff, like in order to protect him. They were thinking of interrogating these two guys, but instead they decide, let's let them go now as a show of good faith or whatever, in the hopes that they will then not be violent.
Oh,
with our
sure,
homeboy,
sure.
Big J.
Of course. That's the Bookhouse Boys in action. So next up, we are back at the Martel household. Okay, and I guess Josie does just live here? Like with Pete and presumably Catherine? Like Pete, you know, Catherine being the scheming mill manager, but Josie owns it, and Pete is married to Catherine. And I don't understand why or how Josie lives there. We were confused about this last episode, but like, you know, she shows up and she says, you know, on top of the morning to Pete. So like they just live, the three of them together, I guess.
I guess so. I think this is creating interesting situations, but considering how much Catherine hates the shit out of Josie.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's not like we know that Josie and Pete aren't entangled because she's seeing Harry.
Yeah.
But was this the house where Josie and the dead Mr. Packard lived? And then when he died, Catherine moved in? Or did they, all four of them, live like on a double date house situation here? It's just so bizarre to me. I don't understand.
No, I haven't the foggiest. I really haven't.
Yeah, I might do some looking up, but it's very strange. So as mentioned, she shows up and she's like, you know, on top of the morning to you, Pete. And Pete is like, it's just top of the morning. And it's just barely morning. I guess Josie's been sleeping in. And okay, I don't love This like this scene is very strong on the like Josie as an Asian woman does not confidently speak English and is just like using
Yeah.
English turns of phrases in ways that are slightly off. It feels very like white writer's room,
Yes.
coming up
Writer's
with ways. The writer's womb.
It is kind of in a way.
So, but yeah, no, it's not good. Honestly, like similarly to Audrey, I feel like Josie is another character that I like do stan her. My next note on her is like when she comes out in her red dress, I just wrote Josie shitted in the mother toilet. Like,
Oh my god.
but
And the perfectly coordinated lipstick too. She looks stunning.
yeah, amazing. But honestly, like I feel like the show thus far, and I think like certainly in my vague memory, is not playing its cards well in terms of her as a character. And it is like definitely so far we are not doing great on the like racist depiction of Josie, I think.
No, I agree.
Let's see. So here's I wrote another note of just like how much the coffee here is like this I think had a very extensive discussion of like, would you like some coffee? Yes, I would like some coffee.
It was Josie. You said the magic word.
Yeah. It's so like that's the thing. I think it is like also so much a part of it that Dale is just like at any point he is like a dog. Like at any point he is never less than like 100% excited to think about or have coffee, you know?
No matter what time of day.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very clear standout line here that we need to shout out, right?
Oh, well, are we okay, well wait. So we'll get there. So
Okay.
So they start asking Josie some questions because Laura was tutoring her in English. And she says that, yes, they're asking about like the last time that she saw Laura. And it was, I think, when they were tutoring her or when she was tutoring her. And she told her, I think now I understand how you feel about your husband's death. I really made a note of Josie's next line here of just like, I can't stop hearing it in my head like some haunting melody. Again, feels very pointed in terms of like Laura's theme in the show, obviously, like
Indeed.
theme musically and theme like idea.
Thematically.
Yeah. The like Laura as a haunting melody throughout the show feels very pointed. We then find out that Dale, through his master INTJ brain, has deciphered that Harry and Josie are seeing each other. Harry's kind of like defensive, saying like, oh, 6 months, and that the Mr. Packard has been dead for a year and a half. And then Pete storms in with the line that I assume, Lily, you were talking about. Hit it.
Fellas, don't drink that coffee. You'd never guess. There was a fish in the percolator.
It's so funny.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
It's so funny. And it's like, I don't know, I'm sure there's like a character read of like, did Catherine leave a fish in the percolator to like sabotage Josie or whatever? But I
think it's almost better if we have no idea.
No, yeah. And it's just like, I think this is another one of those lines that is just like famous lines of Twin Peaks of like, there's a fish in the percolator. That is just like, David Lynch will just throw something in there.
I wish I could ever think of something like that.
It's so good. Meanwhile, Josie is getting a phone call from Catherine, where she's very upset that her shenanigans cost the mill. I think she said it was like $80,000. And again, I don't love, I think like Catherine's like, you know what shenanigans means, don't you? And then like Josie asks Dale what shenanigans are, which again, I really wish that they weren't leaning so hard into that. But I do love Dale just like without skipping a beat. Shenanigans are nonsense, mischief, often a deceitful or treacherous trick. He's just like, he has the definition of shenanigans ready to go.
It's on lock, yeah.
Here, do you want to actually tell us about this next scene of Catherine that we segue to from the phone call?
Sure. So as Catherine puts down the phone in what to me looks like a hotel room, who knows? Oh, probably it is a hotel room.
I guess it is. It's probably the Great Northern, yeah.
Yeah. A champagne glass or a wine glass comes into frame. She clinks it with someone. A little jarring, just like do some evil shit on the phone, hang up, celebrate with a drink.
Well, especially because it's not like she didn't accomplish anything. She was just like, hey, Josie, you cost me $80,000. Ugh. And then from off screen, just like, excellent gambit, madam. Like,
Happy New Year. Yeah. So here we learn that Catherine and Ben, who is Audrey's dad, do I have that right?
Yeah, Ben Horne, and the owner of the Great Northern.
Yes, they are having an affair.
Oh, mon Dieu.
We also learned that Ben is an original freak and keeps putting her toes in his mouth.
Yeah, the foot freak. This is we are learning about how everybody fucks this episode.
Everybody fucks.
God, you know what I will say about these two is like they are both very evil, but he is matching her freak.
No, they seem like a good fit. They're both pretty like scheming and conniving, which seems like part of the sexiness for them also.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like excited by the idea of not only being in a hotel room doing adultery, but also being in a hotel room committing or scheming crimes, perhaps. They talk about ways that they can tank the mill, which to this totally came out of the blue, I think. It turns out, yeah, Catherine might have reason to want to set the mill on fire or ruin the business otherwise.
Yeah.
Ben is in on this for reasons that I don't understand either, but I'm not too worried about it.
Yes. I mean, I guess we know that he is big businessman and he wanted to sell some land to these Norwegians, so this could be a part of it. But yeah, it is talking about the arson that activates foot freak mode. The other line here that I wrote down is I think it's Catherine who says it of like, oh, they're saying like, oh, we could all that tinder in the mill, we could burn it while Pete's off on a toot with Smokey the Bear. I just put like 4 question marks because what the fuck are you saying, Catherine?
What the fuck are you saying?
What does this mean?
What is
Sure, yeah. Pete's out on a toot with Smokey the Bear, whatever you say. So from there, this is, I think, probably one of the biggest. Sorry, I'm changing a thing in my notes where I realized I wrote a spoiler.
Sure.
I wrote the name of this man. So okay, Donna goes to visit Sarah Palmer. And okay, actually, right at the beginning here, we see Leland says like, take this now, and he seems to slip her something. It's not, we don't see what he slips her, but he seems to slip her something. And then to Donna, he's like, don't upset her. And given how we saw the doctor like giving her some kind of like anti-anxiety sedative last episode,
Yeah.
I feel like it seems that he is still like, here, yeah, take your benzos or whatever,
That is certainly a reading of it. It also seems like, I mean, so as we see in the scene, Donna comes, has a seat. Almost immediately, Sarah gets very, very upset.
Yeah.
The specific thing that Leland said, like, don't let this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like the setup here is unfair, and it makes me wonder if maybe whatever medication they're giving her, because she's not totally lucid right now,
No,
could be like worsening or disrupting her mental state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, even if it is a sedative, I think, lots of room for that to worsen and disrupt her mental state,
Yes, that's true.
My other note here is just like that we see her like exercise bike in the background, which might have been there last episode, but I think just like, I don't know, there's something about that very like heartbreaking to me, like of how much this home is like interrupted and is just like, yeah, like she has her exercise bike out. Like it really does feel homey, you know?
That's true. And also fits in with like Laura's photo being like right opposite her, just like the idea that this is a home that really cares about their image.
Yes. So Donna sits down. I think Sarah asks her like, or says like, I miss her so much. Don't you miss her? Donna says, yes, I miss her so much. And actually, yeah, do you want to tell us about like how Sarah kind of reacts to all this?
Yeah, Donna's I miss her so much kind of sets her off on a bit of a thought spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah just keeps going, I miss her so much. I miss her so much. I miss her so much. I noted here that with like the music and the weird whooshing in it, something felt to me like ritualistic about it. It didn't just feel sad.
Wait, tell me more about the whooshing, because I didn't write that down. But my thinking about telephones and wind in trees alarm is sounding.
You know what? I don't remember to what extent whooshing is like the perfect word for it,
Yeah.
but basically the music was more than just sad here. It was the something weird is happening music.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, you know, definitely gels with what happens next, which is that Sarah starts seeing Laura's face on Donna, superimposed in this really uncanny way.
I made a note of like, it's such a David Lynch type of like special effect of like, I don't know. I think there's like a lot of this throughout Twin Peaks and even like thinking about Mulholland Drive and stuff. Like sometimes he's just like, yeah, put the other image on top of it. Like there's no, it's not really concerned with like dressing it up in a way that isn't just like we have superimposed Laura's face on this shot, you know?
No, it's true. At most, there is this really cool thing, which is that you can kind of see Donna's eyes from behind Laura's eyes.
Ooh, that is really good.
That made it much creepier than just like a simple like copy paste thing. But yeah, it wasn't like realistic or convincing, nor was it trying to be. At this point, I think Sarah says like, "Oh, Laura," and has this like kind of break where she thinks Laura is in front of her. I'm curious how Donna feels about this. I couldn't really parse her reaction because from what you've told me, it seems like this is a role that she's going to continue like assuming in some way.
I mean, at the very least, like so far, I think this is definitely like her character is definitely playing with this. She definitely seems, yeah, it's true. I don't know if we even see her reaction because we're very much seeing Sarah's face as she like grabs and hugs her.
True. And I also want to mention that so we find Sarah on this like love seat where it's her sitting on the right and then the left side is empty. But right there is Laura's photo, and that is the seat that Donna takes, covering up the photo.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you. Patreon.com/TSTV. We might not be able to get that URL. Sadie, is it true what they say?
What do they say?
Is it true that this is a listener-supported podcast?
Yes, that's true.
Well, why would a listener make such a choice?
Because we're not fucking taking ads from BetterHelp or whatever the fuck.
So true. And frankly, we offer a lot of nice perks. If you sign up for our Patreon at tstv.show, you can get every episode 2 weeks early. So that's like 1 week ahead of the public schedule. And you get TSTV DVD, our bonus movie review series that we put out once a month.
Yeah. You want to listen to us. It'll be delightful.
You
okay,
want
do
to.
it.
You want to.
Okay, back to the episode. Tell me about she is hugging her. She's like, "Oh my god, it's Laura." And then what happens?
And then she looks down and she just sees a fucking guy there on the ground. He's just like crouched froggy mode and looking upward, if I remember.
Yeah. I think this is actually supposed to be behind Laura's bed. I think this is like I don't know if this is supposed to be in the same room as them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, but either way, she seems aware of his presence in some way. She seems like this
Yes.
is maybe a vision that she has,
Yeah.
whether or not it's in her line of sight. So she gets incredibly upset and she starts like screaming her head off. Like a genuinely blood-curdling, like horror movie, not like a realer than a horror movie scream, the kind of thing that I don't think I've ever heard in my actual life.
Yeah, it's so good.
My note here is, who the fuck was that guy?
Yeah. Well, what I will say is this is the guy who was who we talked about last episode. This was the Frank de Silva, I believe is his name. Let me make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or just Frank. No, just Frank Silva. This is Frank Silva, who was the like guy working on the set and props, who
Right.
So this is the shot that we mentioned last episode that David Lynch just like shot while shooting the pilot, of him seen like, because I think he said he saw him there and he looked trapped in a way that was compelling to David.
It is to me too that the frame we get him in is very tight.
Yeah.
This quick shot, it's very like paranoid, claustrophobic.
Well, and it's like this is like I think another moment of like the way David Lynch will just like grab this shot in passing of this guy, and then it's worked in here an episode later in this vision. But it's still not, we still don't know what it means, but like you'll just be like, oh, I saw this and this is meant to mean something. And this is the same guy who was in the reflection of the mirror last episode at the end for half a second.
Yes. This is just clearly a creative voice who really trusts himself and his intuition, and I respect that.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think of this guy? What's your read on, I don't know, like, because he has a very like flat expression in this vision of him. Like, do you get any particular vibes, or like what's your read on this vision, and like what is it telling us?
Fuck, man. Well, there's nothing about him in his like physicality or in his like appearance that is really scary. He looks like a very normal dude to me.
Mm-hmm.
Looks a little bit like Tom Green, like an aged up Tom Green. That could just be me. But truthfully, the only thing that really comes to mind is like...
Sorry, this is really funny. I've looked up Tom Green, and he does kind of look like Tom Green, but that's such a funny, like, thing to go for.
I don't know. I really thought that in the moment, too.
It's very funny.
Truthfully, like, the only thing that I'm really reaching for here is that Sarah clearly did not know her daughter as well as she thinks she did, and there were people in her life that she like that Sarah is not aware of at this moment. So it feels like sort of these people, this is abstract, are like intruding on the truth of who she was.
Or like,
you know?
Sarah's truth, you know.
Yeah. So like they're kind of compromising the integrity of like the Laura that they thought existed or they thought they knew. But again, I'm not actually sure to what extent Sarah knows at this point that, you know, Laura was taking drugs and was sort of somewhat erratic. Yeah, but I would actually really love to hear your take, if you can give one without giving too much away.
Oh, that's tough. Well, I mean, honestly, one thought is just like that, like this is our second Sarah Palmer like vision moment, where at the end of last episode, she seemed to have a vision of a hand digging up the half of the necklace that we saw James and Donna bury, which that
Right.
at the end of this episode does turn out to like seems to have been a like real vision of something that was happening elsewhere and not just like a hallucination. So, and also that again, like this, you know, Frank Silva, the like crew member turned actor, was present in the mirror in that vision. So he seems connected thus far to these visions somehow. And like,
True, eh?
Yeah, no, it's very, it's really striking. Like, I think this is one of those ones where the first time I was watching it, I was like, I don't know what that means, but it's so striking the way that, and like, I think it is specifically like he's like crouching at Laura's bed. I think like what you're saying about like there is something unknown to Sarah, like something that to Sarah represents like the outside, like something was intruding, something was like,
Right.
God, you know what it actually, this is a bit of a wild connection, but
Do it.
from fucking the old, like the Bible, like the Old Testament, the like sin crouching at your door. Here I'm looking it up. Like I forget what. Yeah, God tells Cain, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it.
Wow.
This is in Genesis. Yeah, I just remember this as a line of like sin crouching at your door is like a great line. Cain famously who killed Abel. But I feel like there's something there about the way that he's so crouched down, you know?
That's true. Also, the position one would assume if one was like trying not to be seen, trying to sneak in.
Yeah. But then like again, the way he's through the bars, like almost how Bobby was like grabbing at the bars. Like he is also trapped in a way. Like again, like that was the thing that David Lynch said like struck him, was that he looked trapped. It's very there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. My goodness.
Yeah.
I hope we get more of this guy.
Yeah, no kidding. So from there, we have Hawk at the hospital talking to the Pulaskis, which the wiki tells me we knew about Janet. It turns out that Renette's mom is called Suburbus Pulaski. Just asking about Renette and like what she was up to. We know that Renette worked at the perfume counter at Horne's department store. So I guess Ben Horne also has a department store. And he sees a one-armed man who we saw briefly last episode. I think he was like getting out of the elevator with our guides.
I was wondering if he was familiar.
Yeah, so we see him again leaving an elevator, and Hawk, I guess, follows him on intuition. There's a little bit of a like, this guy has one arm. I better check that out. Which is like, come on, give him a break. But yeah.
I would much prefer if there were characters like that, just like kind of filling out the world who like happen to have one arm or whatever. I guess, sorry, do you mind if I linger on that for a sec?
Yeah.
In a show with such a big cast, it is really important to have like immediately distinguishable, really quickly legible like quirks of characters. Like, who is it with the shoes? Is it Audrey with the shoes?
Audrey with the shoes.
Last episode.
Yeah.
But I do feel conflicted on the idea of doing that with like disability or like bodily differences, you know?
Yes, it is definitely a, like, again, just kind of pulling. And again, it does feel very intentional with the way it is pulling like this kind of mystery trope of like the one-armed man. But yeah, it's certainly not uncomplicated. I mean, even thinking about like Nadine with her eye patch, and obviously fucking, is it Johnny, you know, Audrey's brother. The show is not free of sin here, but yeah, we see a one-armed man, and you know, we don't really know if Hawk is investigating him like just because he's like, that's weird, or if he has some kind of intuition. But either way, this guy walks down towards the morgue, and Hawk, I guess, says, oh, well, I lost him. He honestly doesn't seem to like chase him that hard. He's just like, we hear his footsteps walking away, and he's just like, damn, like he's kind of on like Skyrim guard, just like, oh, guess it was the wind, you know? Like,
yeah, that's funny. Does he follow him into the blue room, right?
Yeah.
So is he just not allowed to go further, you think? Or
I don't know. I think what we're supposed to gather is like, I've lost him. But
sure.
It does kind of come and go as a scene.
I just want to shout out the blue of that room. Mm-hmm. It is, I don't know, maybe there's a reason a morgue would be like fluorescent, like incredibly saturated blue, but it is nothing like the color palette of anything else in this episode.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah.
I found it super striking because this is a brown town, you know? This is a town overcome by brown.
Yeah, it's like beiges and oranges. Yeah.
Yeah, like wood paneling and trees and like um so I don't know if that is to earmark this space as an interesting one, but I want to go deeper.
Yeah.
I do. That makes me feel like whoever this one-armed man is, he's up to something interesting.
Yeah, no, it's it's definitely doing something there. And like, I don't know, trying to think of other moments of like such a cold blue. I mean, honestly, I just think of it like even Laura's corpse. I'm sure there's some of that going on of just like
That's true.
the cold blue morgue, but I don't know, let's keep an eye out on that of just like how like the color tone is like used throughout the show, because I wouldn't be surprised if that is, I don't have a concrete take, but that would not surprise me at all if that is like indicating something there.
Nice. Epic.
Epic.
Next up, we have Audrey just kind of like swaying, dancing in her dad's office, facing towards nothing in particular except the camera.
Yeah, my note was girls be swaying sultrily.
You know it. Her dad comes in and asks if the Norwegians leaving last episode was her fault, and she kind of says, "Oh well, I just went in and I was sad, and I mentioned I was sad." And, you know, I mentioned how my dear friend Laura was brutally murdered.
Yeah.
Like, she's really pleased with herself, it seems. And Ben, her dad, gets like heated and basically like, so Ben goes over and pauses a record player that we didn't really realize was playing. It was playing the music of Twin Peaks, like it was playing the Angelo Badalamenti.
Yeah, like it was playing Audrey's theme, which has played like in previous scenes, I think, of Audrey, like last episode.
I love that. I love that her theme exists in the universe.
Yeah, and that she just listens to it to like hype herself up and get sultry.
That is so good. And also in keeping with the way she speaks in this scene, which is very like she's putting on a performance for her dad, you know?
Yeah.
There's like a very clearly fake good girl thing.
I mean, honestly, like I think of all of the characters, I think Audrey is the most like performant, not as in like performative, but like
theatrical sort of.
Yeah, like she seems almost aware of the audience, like you're saying, of how she's just kind of alone in the room, just kind of doing her little swaying dance for the audience. Like there really seems to be like Audrey has a sense of like being in character, so to speak, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And she loves what this can do for her, I think.
So yeah, Ben is threatening her. I made a note. He says, you know, if she pulls off another stunt, she'll be scrubbing bidets in a Bulgarian convent. Hey, at least the Bulgarian nuns get bidets.
That's true. Ours probably don't. And, you know, it's nice to know that Ben has connects all over Europe.
Yeah.
Including the Catholics.
Would they be Catholic?
I feel like convents are Catholic.
Are they? Well, anyway, regardless, we don't need to get caught up in the Reformation.
Google search religion in Bulgaria. Oh, they're generally Orthodox there.
We're really going in. Okay, no, but the other things that I made a note of, I think, like her, when she first says she goes in, she says, well, I did go in there to check out that ridiculous smorgasbord, which is such a funny line. And I also love...
She's really racist towards the Norwegians.
Yeah, they're this ridiculous. And I really liked the, like, Ben throughout his admonishments is, like, applying chapstick, which is such a funny, like, little piece of, like, prop acting decision to make. Like, Ben Horne is carrying around his chapstick and putting it on. He is ready to present his smooth lips to his business clients. It's very funny to me.
That's super funny.
Yeah, and his last line, to Audrey of Laura died 2 days ago. I lost you years ago. Man, fuck off. Let a girl do some shenanigans.
Yeah. Man. I want to learn more about what kind of parent he is because, presumably not a great one or a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
But what does he want Audrey to do?
Yeah.
Just maybe be obedient? I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Quite something. I hate the idea of saying you lost someone who is still alive.
Yeah, truly. Speaking of dads, we are next up with kind of like the dad of this show. Bobby Briggs and his father Garland Briggs and his mother Betty are having dinner. Bobby is once again being a rude boy. I think it's very funny that they're playing opera. They're playing like low volume, some casual dinner opera.
Like it's a classy choice, but it's not one I can really understand.
Well, because it's not like smooth jazz or even like chamber music. Like it's fucking opera, you know?
Yeah, ladies yelling real high.
Yeah, it's the dubstep of the classical music world. In terms of like intensity, you know. But so Garland has a whole speech about now, Bobby, I respect your desire for rebellion is a sign of a healthy mind, but as your father, it falls upon me to constrain it within the bounds of society. I respect silence. It's very like, it's funny. I almost wrote like, he is very army dad. Like he's wearing his fucking medals to the table, but he's so like eloquent. And honestly, I had written like emotionally intelligent because I think like throughout, like he has certainly been more like, now Bobby, I'm here for you and I respect you. But like, then we would expect from like stock character army dad with his medals on at all times. But then he does slap his son. So it's not, not all the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Bobby, takes out a cigarette to start smoking at the table. Garland slaps him and the cigarette fucking flies into Betty's ground beef, which is very funny.
And we get this killer like whip pan between Bobby's face and then slap and then just the cigarette landing in the meat while his mom is like still cutting it. Oh my God, that was great. That like had me hooting and hollering.
Yeah. And Betty says, "We're here for you." This is like, it's just such a strange household here, these two. Do you have any thoughts on the Briggs family?
I really don't know. That the dad is a supremely interesting character because he is this like measured, thoughtful guy in the conversation. But I wonder if he's just someone who's gone through anger management, and like makes an effort to conceal his rage and occasionally fails. I don't know. Not the cliche of an army dad. That's for sure.
Yeah, a weird guy.
Conservative household is one thing I pull for sure.
So, although I mean, it's weird. Like Twin Peaks is definitely like, we don't get the sense that politics exists in that kind of way, But yes. So from there, we are back at the Double R Diner, where Coop is once again getting some coffee and some cherry pie that he fucking loves.
Let's go.
Oh my God. What did you think about this?
I just caught your note about asking her about the log.
Oh, hey, listen, we could get right to it. So he sees the log lady, and I think he just says, "Log lady," and she turns to him and he goes, "Hi," and she kind of rolls her eyes. And he asks Harry, he says, "Can I ask her about her log?" Harry says, "Many have," and I just wrote chaser moment.
So she eventually comes over, but first Dale asks the waitress Shelley her name and how to spell it. And she goes, "Shelley Johnson." He says, "Shelley Johnson with a J."
God, you know what?
What the hell else would it be with?
That's so funny. I mean, I guess that this is he's like writing down every J name because of Laura's diary said that she was going to meet up with Jay.
Oh.
But it is very funny. Like, no, it's Johnson with a with
a
a G.
G.
Yeah, it's G off. It's the G off of Johnson.
It's DZ Johnson.
Yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, no, this is like truly his interaction with her is like this is just what it's like being a trans woman sometimes. It's just a guy goes up and says, "Hey, log lady, hi, can I ask about your log?" Yeah, so I mean, again, this is like I think just another like starting it off. He's crazy about the pie, Twin Peaks cherry pie moments once again, and yeah, so the log lady does come by. And she says, "One day, my log will have something to say about this. It saw something that night." And I think Dale asks, like, "Can I ask you about it?" And she says, "Well, you can ask the log." He kind of looks dumbfounded. She says, "I thought as much," or "I thought so." I forget. But there's the like, "Yeah, that's right. My log knows secrets, but you think you're too high and mighty to talk to my log." What's your take on this? How's this land for you?
This land's great for me. I love the possibility of a future log interrogation scene. I think he should not rule it out. Well, I think he actually considers it. He weighs it with a look over to Sheriff Harry.
But I'll be the first to say it. Get that log a lawyer.
Don't make that log say anything until it knows its rights.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. How are you feeling about the log lady?
I like her a lot. I kind of hope we don't find out what the log backstory is, to be honest with you. I don't feel like I need to know. Yeah, cool. So do we know at this point whether the log lady has like any connection to Laura? Beyond just like living in the town? Because I don't see why she would actually have information at all. I feel like she's just an interesting little like a bit of scenery, and that's why she keeps catching Dale's attention.
Yeah, I don't think we've been told about any connection with her and Laura thus far. But I don't know. She says her log saw something.
I'm inclined to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, one day we will find out.
One day we will.
So from there, we are unfortunately visiting Leo Johnson as the first thing he's doing is like cutting open a football. And it's unclear to me if this is like to put like some kind of contraband in or just to cut something open because Shelley...
Just to feel something.
Yeah. Shelley does come home and he is incensed that he cannot find his bloody shirt. And he does fucking put some soap in a sock to beat her with it. This is no fun. It's like...
It was brutal.
Yeah, it's rough.
It was shot like the fucking shower scene in Psycho.
Yes, very much. And like even how the like I like their house is so striking for how it's like unfinished. There's like half of a wall missing between like their kitchen and I guess what would be a living room, where we just have like the support beams.
Right. There's like bare insulation and like a bunch of their shit just like lives outside.
Yeah, and like I mean when we see like where Shelley's kind of like cowering is this room that is just kind of like bare insulation, or like as if it's almost just like the plastic. So it does feel like the shower curtain, you know, at La Psycho.
It does. And what a hostile, I don't know, environment to live in and to try to, you know, she's playing housewife in this thing that's barely a house.
Yeah, it's not great. You know what? I would be having an affair with Bobby Briggs too, honestly. But yeah, it's rough. I mean, like it's kind of just here and then gone. And it's kind of like some more Leo Johnson is a piece of shit. I feel like there's like not even really that much to like analyze about it, but it's fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. Oh, I hated this.
Yeah. So then from there, we have James going to like Donna's for dinner. Do you want to tell us about this?
Sure. So at this point, it's unclear whether he's coming over as like the new boyfriend or like whether I guess they don't really know him. You know, the kind of mood is very awkward and fresh.
They seem to keep their affection to each other to like when the parents aren't around. So, well, I guess she did talk about it to her mom, but yeah, it is weird.
It is weird and kind of stilted. So James comes into their very nice house. The parents retire to the kitchen for a moment to, I don't know, get dinner ready, I guess. And yeah, they get a little flirty. We learn a little more about James, namely that his dad is dead. I see that you've noted here that Laura's theme is playing.
Yeah, I think it's like when the parents leave and they're like at the table and they're like, I forget what they're saying, but they're like getting cutesy with each other. And it is playing the like main theme, Laura's theme. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, no kidding. My other notes on them here is like, again, in a like, everyone in this town is constantly talking about, would you like some coffee or something to drink? Is like the first thing when James shows up is Donna's dad just being like, well, we have some good food. And Donna's mom is like, oh yeah, would you like something to drink? We have soft drinks, fruit punch and cider. It is like, it's so much, like nearly every scene is just like earmarked with them, like the characters sitting down and talking about what they will be drinking or eating.
It's true. I love that he like takes a second to mull over it. Yeah.
And my other note is, do you think he's just called James Hurley because of Harley motorbike?
Oh my God.
Like, is this just he's the guy who has a Harley Davidson and so his name is Hurley, which is very funny.
Is Hurley a real name? Yes, it is.
I mean, I'm sure there are, but like, it would not surprise me if that's just where his name as a character came from.
Oh, that's the best. I really hope that's it. And who knows if it was even like as straightforward a decision as that, or like, you know, David Lynch was just sitting to himself thinking, what name should I give this biker boy? You know what sounds fit for a biker? Hurley.
But yeah, so you were gonna say while they are eating.
Yes,
the Bonzo Boys.
The Bonzo Boys, whose names I'll remember eventually. Is it Mike and Bobby? Yes.
Yes.
They pull out front, seemingly to like surveil Donna. I can't think of any other reason. And they see that that James's bike is parked out front. They put two and two together and think, oh my God, James has stolen both of our ladies. First one, now the other.
Yeah. I think Bobby says like, it's too bad we can only kill him once.
Yeah. So clearly they have no intention of following through on Dale's kind of exigence that James stays safe. I think they don't really care about consequences.
Yeah, they're the rude boys. So, you know.
That'll do it.
James better hope that the Bookhouse boys can keep him safe.
Yeah, that's about all I remember here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's basically it. I think then we move to our last scene where Dr. Jacoby, I always forget if it's like Jacoby or Jacoby, I think it's Jacoby, who is our horrible freak, is like in his office, which is insane.
Oh, the decor is unreal.
Yeah, last time we noted his like luau like grass skirt tie.
Yeah.
This theme is only continued in his interior decor. He has like this aquarium full of like coral or like pufferfish type things, but that are just like Christmas lights, just like glowing and like flashing on and off. He has all these masks on his walls that are very like, you know, seem to kind of imitate or like they're meant to emulate kind of like, you know, white guy who has like quote unquote tribal masks
Yes.
all over. He has a big plastic palm tree and a palm tree wallpaper. The things we know about this guy is psychiatrist, huge creep, and loves the idea of Hawaii, I guess.
I guess so. This combined with what he's listening to, which is a tape that Laura made him, kind of gives me the feeling that he just likes collecting these little pieces of things that don't belong to him. You know,
Ooh,
like
yeah.
he loves taking ownership of things as his hobby. Like the choice to have a character have a pet, and especially like a pet in a terrarium, can be really interesting because in
Mm.
some things that is a sign that like, oh, I care so much about protecting these little dudes. Right now I'm watching Girls Five Eva, and one of the characters takes care of like many crabs and many little aquariums as a sign that he's like a gentle soul, I guess. This is the opposite of that. I feel like he just likes having a little world that he can control and kind of have say in.
Yes, definitely.
Hate this guy so much.
Oh, he's the worst. So yeah, he's listening to this tape with his fucking, like, he's got his fucking like audiophile headphones. I hate that he's like, I just wrote not him eating his fucking like popcorn or chia seeds or whatever. Like he's got some little snack that he's like nibbling on. And so yeah, this is a tape from Laura, and it seems to be like kind of therapy adjacent, but it also is like erotic.
Yes.
And it's, oh man, it's just like, even just like, I don't know, it feels like every character's kind of either flashbacks or memories or recorded tapes of Laura are like her telling them what they want to hear, you know?
That's very true.
Where like, you know, with James, she's like, oh, I'm just so happy that we're in love. And here with Jacoby, she seems to be really leaning into like, you know, she said James is sweet, but he's so stupid. You know, like he doesn't understand. I forget the exact lines, but it's like that they're like that she has these desires or like, you know, things that are like greater than what James can understand. And this feels very like playing into what a kind of creep like Jacoby would want to hear in terms of like the, you know, very like fucking Lolita guy, fucking Humbert or whatever.
Right.
Like, yes, teenage girl. The boys your age are just so sweet but so stupid. What you need is someone who is, you know, really understands the dark desires within you, someone older. Like it's
Yes. Holy fuck.
and I don't know, again, like there's something there. It sucks. It's not good, but it really
No.
makes you wonder like what was Laura getting out of this, and why was she, because it feels like she's playing him in a sense, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know, just like how much she's like, here's a tape for you, Dr. Jacoby. Like it feels like she is telling him what he wants to hear in this. And like,
Man.
you know, this, I don't know, this is kind of who knows? Like I think this is like a very, even like honestly the way me saying like she's playing him, I think is kind of fraught, obviously, because like I think there is like this exploitation, like he's taking advantage of her, but
Yeah.
she seems aware of that, you know, and is like leaning, like this feels so, again, kind of performant or even performative here. I think the way that she is like really putting on a performance of this like sultry teenage girl who needs her fucking creepy therapist, I guess, you know?
I'm glad you mentioned that she's maybe playing him here, because that kind of suggests that maybe she was in some dysfunctional way getting something out of this and wasn't like purely being exploited by an older man.
Yeah, I mean, like we know that she was like, I mean, she had a lot going on. I don't know. I think this is like this uncertainty and this tension is another like core thing of Twin Peaks, of like, and of Laura's character specifically, you know?
This scene also kind of, it is previously hinted at, but this is the scene that confirms that Dr. Jacoby and Laura were entangled in some way.
Yes.
Because he, in the previous episode, said her parents didn't know I had been seeing her, in a kind of delighted, skeevy
and he
way.
did really put some mustard on that, which is also like, but it's like also like, I don't know, if the FBI just showed up to investigate this dead girl, I would not immediately go up to the police and FBI. I mean, first of all, I would not be Dr. Lawrence Jacoby, but like he does just go up to the FBI agent and go, you know, we were kind of seeing each other. Like,
Oh,
honestly, I'm astonished that they haven't put him more on the suspect list. Thus, like he really just walked up and was like, I was sexually interested in this teenage girl. Like, it's kind of crazy.
weird as fuck, and he's so brazen. You're right. Another thing that I catch in this call is that thing that you brought up previously, which is that Laura kind of feels like a doomed character or one who was like destined to die in some way. Because here we get a sense that she really knows that that something bad is going to happen to her. She says, I know I'm going to get lost in those woods again tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Holy fuck, what does that mean? She is routinely getting lost in the woods. She knows she's going to be there. She's not being taken there against her will. Oh man, that just is such a striking like image for me. The idea that she got off James's bike and immediately went and got lost in the woods knowing that would happen.
Yeah. Well, and
Fuck, man.
and it's true. No, like, yeah, I actually hadn't made a note of that, but like, this is such a, like I forget again the specifics, but like, yeah, in some way, I think was it maybe the log lady in the first episode, or was it in like the intro, or was it actually, do you remember if it was like someone in the episode who said the thing about like there are spirits in the woods or something?
I don't remember. No.
But, you know, like this is an idea that we've heard. I mean, and actually speaking of, like, it does kind of make us wonder if that has something to, like, her saying, like, I'm going to get lost in these woods so shortly after the log lady saying that the log saw something.
Right.
I don't know. It's like, it's really, this is very much like the, you know, you can see like why this grabbed so many people of like every new piece of information we get about Laura and about this mystery seems to compound itself and only raise more, you know? And even just like how we're shown this flashback of Laura as being so like saccharine and sweet and happy to be with James. And then the next time we hear her voice is, well, I guess there's her saying like, help me. And the next time is, you know, James can be so stupid. He doesn't know the real me. Like we're getting so many contradictions. And it does seem like each moment she is appearing to these people to be what they would want her to be or to say what they want to hear.
Yes.
But yeah, so our other big moment here is that while he's listening to this, Jacoby takes his fucking coconut from his plastic palm tree, and this is no normal coconut. This coconut contains secret, namely the other half of the necklace. And actually, there's also something, the audio cuts out. He seems to still be listening to Laura's recording. I wish I could pull up or had like taken notes of what she's actually saying, but I think it like seems that she's, you know, gonna say more. But the audio cuts out presumably before we would actually like be able to, you know, hear anything that would like reveal something, which is very TV show. Okay, so I guess, yeah, one, this means that Sarah's vision of someone finding the necklace was real, I guess. But also, like, how the fuck, like, was he secretly following? Because they were just, like, riding off on their bike, right? Being tailed by the cops off to some, like, I don't know if that was, like, where they filmed their tape, but it's just, like...
They were deep in the woods, right?
Yeah, like, they were just out there. Like, he must have been following them, ? Just to get this necklace? Like, what a weird freak.
The alternative to that being that he is just, like, of the woods in some way. That, like, you know, I mean...
But that does feel at odds with, like, his, like, you know, like you're saying, he's very, like, colonial in, I don't know, kind of everything about him, you know?
Yeah. But, like, not of the woods in some like connection to nature sense, but just in the sense that that's where Laura died.
Oh, true. And she does say she's gonna. Yeah. I mean, it's either way. It's this guy's kind of crazy. I don't know about him.
Yeah, fuck.
And then the last thing is he does start sobbing. Like he at the beginning he seems to be like relishing this tape. He's like, delightful. I get to sit down with another one of my delectable Laura Palmer fucking tapes to listen to. But by the end, he is like breaking down, sobbing, I guess, because he is still overcome by her death. So a lot going on with this guy.
Can I mention there were a couple like kind of connections I drew in this scene to other media?
Please.
Both to do with Laura saying how she knows she's going to get lost in those woods again tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that came to mind for me is this scene in Synecdoche, New York, where one of the main characters, Hazel, is taking a tour of a house in hopes of buying it, but the house is like on fire and slowly burning. And at first you think, oh, this is a weird like a special effect that isn't diegetic because they're not acknowledging it. But then Hazel says, I like the house, I do, I'm just really concerned about dying in the fire. And then the realtor says, it's a big decision how one prefers to die. That came to mind, just like with the sense of inevitability, because she does, spoiler alert, buy the house and then die in the fire. Then the second one I thought of was, and I'm thrilled about this connection, is the latest Mitski album.
Ooh.
Because, okay, so the track The Deal is a real turning point for that album, right? That is the song where she is taking a walk, presumably out in nature in the middle of the night, and she gives her soul to a bird. And from that point on, like a lot of the rest of the album is about, it's like almost like a post-death thing, or like her like internality has been hollowed out and she's just waiting for the inevitable.
Man, that song's so good.
It's so fucking good. That album is honestly her best album to me.
Ooh, exciting.
Which then culminates on track 10, I'm Your Man, in which canonically she feeds someone to a pack of dogs who you hear, and you hear like these like ritualistic chants.
Yeah.
And there's like crickets going and everything. That sense of there's some inevitable, horrible thing happening out in the woods.
Man, I love that.
To a character who is like not totally all there,
Man, yeah, that's great. This is a very good connection. Sorry, I was also like seeing if I could find the script online just to like double check like what she says in the last thing. And it's very funny. There seems to be a lynchnet.com that has the script, but it's actually kind of changed. There are like things that are in here that are not in the actual episode. But sorry, this is crazy. The things that he's eating are malted milk balls.
Oh, like Maltesers. That's such a weird choice, man.
Yeah, this guy's crazy. Also, apparently, someone, I guess, like before the return, just like put the script for a bunch of Twin Peaks episodes up on Genius, which is very funny. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on. This guy's a freak.
This guy's a freak.
Please.
Yes, indeed.
Well, yeah.
That's
shall
about
we?
all Yeah.
we're fighting over talking. But yeah, no. I mean, I think that's an episode.
That is an episode. That was a really strong episode. And you know what? I have a question for you. Just coming away from all this. This is our second episode of several pretty much disparate scenes, which do build on each other. Like the information we get matters, but does it ever come together? Do these things unite in some like Mars Attacks kind of way? That's a weird reference to make.
Man, Lily, I cannot believe you just like, I'm going to tell you a spoiler right now about Twin Peaks. I can't believe you called it, but fucking Mars Attacks. Like, that's where Laura went. They took her to Mars.
Oh my fucking God. Have you seen Mars Attacks?
No, I have not.
Well, it seems like a bunch of totally disconnected story arcs until all the characters meet at the end and then fight the aliens or something. I saw it as like an 8-year-old.
Sure. I mean, like, structurally, Twin Peaks episodes broadly are kind of going to continue to be, and here's every person in the town having a little thing going on.
Okay.
And like, we've talked about that, like David Lynch's kind of initial vision of Twin Peaks was that like we're introduced via this murder and then we are just kind of like immersed in the town and seeing what they're all doing. And it is, again, it's kind of like a soap opera and a like murder investigation and like a Lynchian horror show kind of like elbowing each other over which it gets to be, you know?
Indeed.
So, I mean, I think my answer is mostly no. Like, I think it is mostly gonna be shit like this, but who could say? Who could say? Who could say?
Who could say? Anyway, I mean, so far, look, this has hooked me early, which I'm really pleased about.
Fuck yeah. So, next up we have Lily's Nightmare Corner. Did you manage to give yourself any crazy Twin Peaks dreams?
No, buddy, I tried last night, but it didn't stick. I even like watched the first half of this episode kind of while falling asleep, then had to go back and rewatch. Yeah, no dice. I did have one dream featuring a character who felt somewhat Lynchian, like an interesting kind of world-weary older lady who I tried to I was stuck in the West Island, way out in the like transit desert suburbs, and I had to hop on a train, but I had 2 bikes.
Man, you really have the transit hell dreams.
That's like all I fucking have.
Man.
I had 2 bikes and they would only let me on with 1 bike, so I had to get this lady to watch the bikes and she didn't want to. And that's about all I remember from this week's dreams.
You know what's funny is I woke up from my dream and I thought, oh, I should write this down for the podcast. It's not Twin Peaks related at all. I had a dream that I was like undercover at a turf open mic.
What?
But it was also like an open mic that was like elimination, like a game show. And I kept winning and I was in like the final 4. It was like they didn't know I was trans, but I had to do really good at the open mic or else they would like, there was the sense that like I was distracting them from going and doing transphobic violence in some way.
Oh my God.
But I remember I was really running out of ideas. And for the last round, that was the finals. I was like, okay, I don't know. I'm really out of it. I'm just going to tell them weird facts about Pokemon and Star Wars. So that was my dream, was that I was sacrificing myself, or, you know, self-sacrificingly saving people from the turfs by keeping them at their elimination open mic by telling them facts about Pokemon. Which, crazily enough, now that I think about it, that actually, that's just an episode of Twin Peaks. Now that is one. Like, this is spoilers, but in a season and a half, we're going to get to the turf Pokemon open mic episode.
Oh my
and it's
God,
going to be crazy. I really got you.
I don't know how you got, I thought you meant in some poetic sense it was like an open mic. Oh, fuck.
All right. Well, our next of our little segments here, I want your power rankings of who you think killed Laura Palmer.
Sure. Honestly, I don't feel that I got any true hints on that this episode. I feel like the characters that I maybe previously suspected have been somewhat exonerated here. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, Laura's boyfriend still looks extremely bad, but we have no reason to believe he killed her. He definitely didn't see the murder coming, considering, you know, the money situation in the deposit box.
That's true.
Dr. Jacoby similarly comes out looking even worse, but is like all but exonerated to me by the final scene.
I don't know. If he was the type of guy to kill someone, I think he would be the type of guy to kill them and then listen to a tape of them and then cry about it.
That's true.
This is like, here's what I'll say. A TV character who does that is also the guy who has a weird terrarium and looks at the bugs in them. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, this makes sense. Let me think here. I'm gonna say that Ben is looking pretty bad, Audrey's dad. Except, I mean, just in the sense that we know that he is wrapped up in some sort of conspiracy, as is Catherine. But again, the murder was bad for both of their businesses.
It's true. It's true.
Now, I feel like I just need to throw something out there. Will you forgive me for not giving a super serious suggestion?
Never. No, go ahead.
I think who killed Laura Palmer was the log.
Oh, shit. You think the log saw something, as in was the killer?
Or at least the weapon.
Do you think the log lady knows?
I get the feeling she has some sort of special connection with the log.
But do you think the log is hiding it from her?
No. I think the log is trying to help, and maybe the log was instrumentalized against its will.
Oh, you think the log was... Ooh, this is like the Baron killed her, but only because he was coerced to by the Countess or whatever. You think that...
Precisely.
You think that the log was hoisted by an assailant.
Yeah, maybe someone who felt they could get away with carrying a log around also without being suspicious, such as one of the people from the mill.
Okay.
And I guess I was gonna say Catherine's husband, but we know for sure it wasn't him because he discovered the body.
Yeah, unless he's a very good actor.
That would be crazy. Yeah, log. Wielder unclear. Not the lady.
All right. And for our final segment, Lily, please tell me what happens next time on Twin Peaks. A plot and B plot.
Great. I think we hear more from Andy. That's B plot. Okay, A plot. Let's see. I think... What's the name of the other girl, the one who survived?
Renette Pulaski.
I think we speak to Renette's parents a little bit more, and I think maybe she wakes up. I don't think she has any super decisive information.
No, you don't think she reveals a scandalous secret or anything?
Maybe eventually, but it's early in the game for that.
Well, I don't know. The doctor seemed pretty confident that she saw it all.
Oh, I believe it too, but I mean, the fact that she can't speak right now, I feel like she's still...
Sure, you think she's still in shock.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, come on, give us a clue that she gives us.
Sure.
I'm putting you on the hot seat.
No, I appreciate this. It's going to make for more interesting predictions.
Is she like sketching something and then we realize that it's something that belongs to a character or something? Or perhaps a log?
Okay. I think it has something to do with Leo. I think it has something to do with that magazine they were both involved in. Fuck, man. Okay. I'm remembering that this doesn't need to turn out to be true.
Yeah.
And like probably none of this will happen. So I'm going to say that Renette reveals some information about Leo and Laura's connection, which involves like crime and the drug trade.
Okay.
I'm going to say that she was probably not involved, but maybe coerced. And why was Leo not in my power rankings? Oh my God, put him at the top.
Yeah, that's a good call, honestly. And B plot, as we know, is about Andy. Now remind me, what's Andy doing?
Fuck, I really locked into that. Is Andy doing anything? No. We see more of Nadine next episode. Her cotton ball thing has worked swimmingly, and she's trying to branch out and find investors. She goes to Audrey's dad. He turns her away very rudely.
Ooh. But do you think it has legs? Like, do you think that this is he turns her away and then he's like, 5 years later, he's like, I should have invested in those quiet Drake runners, goddamn.
Yeah, definitely. Look, she's sharp, I think.
Yeah. All right, well.
Yeah, fuck it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the full 43 minutes.
Ronette awakes and reveals Leo's involvement and Laura's in the drug trade. And Nadine makes millions off of some quiet drape runners. Next time on Twin Peaks.
I love this segment.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I need to push you because Lily, you're like, this is the same Lily who's like, oh, I don't know if I can like have an analysis if I haven't thought it through. And I'm like, no, Lily, you just gotta fucking say some shit. You know? Tell me that Andy is shopping for a pet hamster. I don't fuck it. Like, you know what I mean? Because then if you're right, then
holy shit.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, this has been
TSTV.
Whoa, we synced up. Thank you for listening. And after the music, there will be some content warnings for the next episode. Have a good week. Bye.
TSTV is hosted by Sadie Avery Lake and yours truly, Lily Alexandre. Our music is by Jamie Page. The art is by Mya Fernandes-Giles. This episode was edited by me. If you want to get in touch with us, please email us at hellotstv@gmail.com. We may include your mail on a future episode of the show. Let us know if that's okay. If you want to support the show and gain access to our monthly bonus episodes, head over to tstv.show. See you next time.
Content warnings for episode 2, Zen or the Skill to Catch a Killer. Big one at the end, there's some like strobe lights as part of a dream sequence. If like that kind of flashing strobe light is something that you are sensitive to, watch out for that near the end of the episode. There's some more Leo violence, some questionable indigenous fetishization, as well as the show starts like being about sex work in a way that is probably kind of questionable. Honestly, that's one that is going to reappear in a lot of episodes. I'll just say it now because this is where it starts, but it's, you know, it's doing the thing where a show is talking about sex work in a way that's kind of dumb, and that's going to be kind of on and off.